Good evening. Welcome to the public hearing for the Township of Livingston Zoning Board of Adjustment. Today is Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. If you are an applicant for a D or use variance, you should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for the grant of the variance exists, and that variance can only be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning plan of the Township of Livingston. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you will require an affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Other variances require a majority of 4 members to grant that variance. If you are an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have a right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If you're an objector to any type of variance that has been granted, you too may appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of the notice of decision. If you do file an appeal, I ask that you please provide a copy of your complaint to the Planning Administrator, Jackie Hollis. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Star Ledger and West Essex Tribune, and a copy was also posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building. In addition to having notice posted, notice of this meeting was placed on the township's website. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions or make statements regarding each application at the appropriate time. When the time comes, if you would like to address the board, please come forward to the front and use the microphone so we can make sure your comments or questions are part of the record. We will now call the roll.
Mr. Nardone?
Here.
Ms. Khan is here. Mr. Buptani?
Here.
Mr. Affronti?
Here.
Mr. Beer?
Here.
Ms. Fass?
Here.
And Mr. Valerio, our board attorney, is here, and Ms. Hollis, the planning administrator, is here.
Thank you. If you are here, if you are here because you're interested in 68 Amelia Avenue, application number 2023-43-V, or if you are here for 6 Hazelwood Avenue, application number 2023-30-V. Those 2 applications have been adjourned to January 23rd, 2024. You're obviously welcome to stay, but those applications have been carried over. Thank you. Ms. Khan, will you please call our first application of the evening?
Sure. Block 4205, Lot 13, Block 1704, Lot 19, 89 East McClellan Avenue, application number 2023-25-V, Gary and Doris Tufaro. Applicant seeks approval for a 2-car garage in violation of the following section, 170-87E1A, accessory building, height 13 feet allowed, 18 feet proposed, 5 feet, variance requested.
Thank you. And Mr. Beer is going to recuse himself from this application. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Tufaro. How are you? Yeah. Please just.
Hello.
Thank you.
You both going to,
Turn on your mic.
who's going to testify?
I will.
Okay, raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. State your full name and address for the record.
Gary Tafaro, 89 East McClellan Ave, Livingston.
Okay, so Mr. Tufaro, do you want to talk about your application?
Do I represent what we
Well, if there's
originally talked
anything
about?
you would want to explain the changes from last time.
Okay. Should I pull up what the changes are?
However you would prefer to present.
Okay. Well, we made, what's the second one? We made some changes to the original drawings. That's the first one on the left. And the one on the right, we took down the height 2 feet, and I took the dormers off. So that's gives me just enough room to walk down the middle and to put storage on the sides. Any lower than that, I can't stand up there. So it gives me about this much walking room before the pitch comes down. I think it's a dramatic difference from what I originally had. Other than that, everything, the length, the width is about the same. Not sure what else to say about it.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness?
Maybe a quick one.
Sure.
So what is the height now in this center?
18. That's what that's
So
what's
in
proposed.
when you go in the attic or when you go in the upper floor there, what will
It's
be the height
about,
in the
in the
center?
center, about 8 feet.
About 8 feet,
Then it starts coming down from there. So walking space is going to be about 6 feet,
right?
like once you're up there. And then storage will be on the sides.
I see.
So you really can't do anything more than just have a runway,
Right.
and I could just do all my storage on the side.
The rest of it remains the same, the location of the garage and everything
Yes.
else? Thank you,
I didn't make it longer or wider or anything like that.
thank you.
Does anyone else on the board have any questions for this witness?
I have, I know you stated you'd like to see what the neighbors saw at one point. What's it
Sorry,
look
it's
like?
been a while, yes.
I took some pictures so you could see from my neighbor's yard what it looked like back there, if you'd like to see that. Hard to visual, but that's from the backyard. You can point it out.
How do we? but- Can you just turn on the microphone there, just so we can capture it for the record?
Is this on? Hello?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're getting it.
So this is where the arrow is, oh, that's from the side
Sorry.
though.
Just hit something. Sorry.
So that's the rear yard from the people behind us. And this is a shed that will be removed. And so that's what they'll be seeing. Side. This is my side neighbors. That's what's there now. So it's basically going to get pushed in a little more, away from the neighbor's property. And just be set back a little bit. I wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
It's not going to be too much different than what's there now, but it'll be away from them a little bit more.
What is the date on the
Microphone.
revised? What is the date on the revised architectural plans that you submitted?
Good question. We got that.
You didn't send them to me.
Is it 1060? Is it? That's not the revised one.
10,
Yes,
16.
1016.
Yeah, 10:16.
Should I show the cut? Or if there's any other questions?
That's what I figured. Okay. Okay, does anyone in the public have any questions on this application? Would anybody in the public like to make a statement about this application? Would anybody on the board like to make a statement about this application?
Yeah, I'll make a statement. So while I appreciate what you did with the dormers and reducing the height, it's my opinion that it's still too high for a garage, based on the other applications that we see before the township that I've seen. We've had we've had a lot of these come before us. And I just, for a garage, I just still think it's too high for an accessory structure. I'm only one person.
Any lower than that, it's going to look horrible.
There's a lot of garages then, I guess, in town that look horrible, right?
Right, but how is that peak? Because all I'm getting the variance for is that top point.
I get it, but it's still a variance, and whether it's a garage, a pool house, we see them all the time. And, we hear your story all the time.
Yeah.
The only thing that changes are the faces. Again, I'm only one person, and I'm just telling you my opinion. In my opinion, it's still too high. And there's a lot of garages in town that don't need a variance. And they look fine, but
But it's unusable. That's the
you
problem.
can park car in there, right?
No, it's for the second floor, for all the stuff that's in there now. Got to go
And
somewhere.
that's my concern. My concern is, what's the second floor going to be used for? And it's more rhetorical than anything, because what you tell me, chances are it's going to be different than what you tell me. Maybe it will, maybe it won't be. I'm not here to debate that. I'm telling you, for a two-car garage, the purpose is to get two vehicles in there, and you can get two vehicles in there without being above 13 feet.
But without storage. So I can't.
I mean, you can get storage in there, maybe not storage that you personally would like, but there's plenty of garages that are 13 feet that can get storage up there, limited storage up there.
So is it the fact that there's a floor for upstairs? Or is it
It's the
just the
fact
height?
that it's almost a second floor. You got a big barn door in the front.
That's to get the stuff up there, yeah.
Excuse me?
That's to get the stuff up there.
Right. So yeah, that's concerning to me,
And
absolutely.
that could get changed. I mean, it could be a window.
It could be, but there's nothing that says you can't put it in once you get your
Well,
permits, right?
anybody could do anything after the fact.
You're right, but you can't, if you build it to 13 feet, you can't build it higher without anyone really noticing.
Right. So is it the fact of the look of it?
It's not the
or-
look, it's the height. I'm focused on the height. It's not the look of it, it's not,
How
I'm
does
focused on the height.
How does the height negatively impact Livingston? Like, how does that, in my backyard, affect anybody?
Well, I feel is if you start using it for storage, maybe an office, whatever you're gonna do with it, it starts impacting your neighbors, and I look at it from a bigger perspective of what it can turn into.
There's only
so
like 6 feet.
I
of
look
walking
at it as
space
a
up there.
garage. Your goal is a garage for two cars. You can get two cars in a garage with a 13-foot high ceiling and still have a little bit of storage up there. Maybe not, the storage isn't conducive to your operation, but you can still get storage in a 13-foot garage.
Yeah, but I can't put all the stuff I have. If you've seen what I have
I can't.
a big
I'm not-
collection of bicycles and stuff like that. and-
I get it, and listen, I have a garage too that's limited, and I feel your pain. And I got 3 kids, and I got all the shit that goes with it. I get it.
See, to me, that's a lot less, a lot better looking than what I could legally build. I can cut the roof to 13 feet, and I could build it 40 feet long, legally. It'll look horrible. I'll just have a flat roof, long, large building in the yard with storage in the back, and it'll be worse for my neighbors because now it's gonna be a bigger structure. But I don't need a variance for that. But that's better looking. You know? And it matches our home, it makes things look better. None of my neighbors object to it. And it's just, it looks right. If I chop the point off of it, it's gonna look horrible. And it's gonna be bigger. That's 30 feet, it may end up to be 40 feet with a flat roof on it. Maybe a square. It'll look just horrible. So I wanna keep to a nice look. My house looks like an old Victorian.
Right.
I wanna keep it looking like that. And that's it, I thought I compromised quite a bit. I know that looks quite big now, looking at that. But that's probably as small as I can go and still use it to walk in. If I walk up the steps and I could stand.
Right.
And it's only about 6 feet of walking area till I hit my head.
Would anybody else on the board like to make a statement?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say I'm okay with this. I think it's improved from last time. I know like the height has only come down a little bit, but just the overall density has also seemed to be lessened. So I don't think there's going to be an impact on the neighbor. Appreciate those pictures, and
Thanks.
I'm in favor of this.
I concur with Mr. Affronti. I think you did a nice job cutting back, and I've seen your house. It's very pretty, and I think that'll look nice with, it'll fit with the rest of the
Thank
house.
you.
So I commend you. I think you did a good job.
I appreciate you taking the time and effort to scale back the density of this design, and you can see, like you said, when you look at the two designs next to each other, it definitely is more modest, but I have to agree with Mr. Nardone. The town has very strict rules about the height of accessory structures, and as Mr. Nardone said, we see a lot of pool houses and gazebos and garages, and there's a 13-foot height limitation for a reason, and So I have concerns about the height as well. The issue here is that for this type of variance, you need 5 affirmative votes, as I said in the opening. And it appears that you don't have that at this time. So we can go forward, and I know Mr. Butani hasn't weighed in also, but you can go forward and get a vote, or you can withdraw your application.
How do I? Get a vote? Like there's only five voters here?
Yeah.
What you should know is that if the board rejects your application, you cannot come back unless you have a substantially different application, which means you just can't tweak it and come back again. So that's what the chair is asking you to assess, whether you want to vote now or whether you want to withdraw the application. Or one other thing I might suggest, perhaps the style of the roof is what's causing the problem, because you had that peak. And your architect may be able to come up with a different style that reduces it more dramatically.
But I wouldn't be able to stand, that's the problem.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I know we discussed a
Yeah.
a potential double depth to give you the space without the height. As Mr. Valerio said, maybe there are some other options or layouts that would be closer to conforming to the ordinance and would get you the space that you need. Obviously, we want to try and help you and get you a workable solution, but at least from my perspective, this is still, the peak is, the roof is too high.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
If there was no floor,
It's about the outside of the
It's about the
structure.
look.
It's about the height.
so
and
it's
the-
not what Mr.
It's the
Nardone is saying, being usable space. So it's just a look on the outside, not the inside. Like, you were concerned about being used for something else.
Yeah, but if you don't put a floor, you can still put a floor at a later date. I mean, so I'm a builder, right? It's one of the
Yeah.
things I do. Still got rafters. So if
Right.
you don't put plywood, you pass your inspections. What stops you from putting plywood once the inspectors are gone?
Like, we have a ratio variance in town for the ratio of the square footage of your house compared to the size of your lot, and that's dealing with the mass. This is about the height. This isn't about the internal square footage.
I understand. So is there any, so there's no height I'll get?
Excuse me?
There's no height I'll be granted at all?
If you didn't have a height variance, you wouldn't be before the board. You'd have a permit in your hand.
Right, so I couldn't get any amount of
We
footage
don't-
over 13?
We can't say if you came back with
Yeah.
a smaller height, if that would be approved or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you are at 13 feet, you do not need a variance. What we're saying is right now, 18 feet is too high
Mm-hmm.
for this board.
Well, I think I've said it, and I think you've said it, and I think to be fair to everybody, I think a couple people are in favor, and Mr. Bihani hasn't weighed in yet.
Right, but he
Just so-
needs 5 affirmative votes.
I got it.
I'd like to hear your opinion.
Please.
Yeah, just to wrap things, right, with everybody's comments. No, I think, look, I totally appreciate you coming back with the adjustments, and now it looks much smaller than the previous one. And you're thoughtful about how it aligns with your home. I've driven by, it looks very symmetrical. But I do have to agree with Ms. Fass and Mr. Nardone, because our rules are much more stringent on accessory structures, and we need to be consistent as well. And at the same time, we need to see a much bigger picture, as Mr. Nardone said. So from that perspective, I would be also willing to see that, there is an adjustment of height. This height is not something that I would be okay with.
Okay. I have a question. When measuring the height, what part of the ground do they go by? Like, if it's on a hill?
So I'm looking at you, but I believe it's the average.
Right.
It's the average height. So if you were like this, it's not this one or this one, they take the average.
So I just
They
have,
try and be- try and
If your
be fair.
topography is like this, right, if you're on a slope, they're gonna take the average of your topography.
because I had an idea, I wonder if I could throw this by you. If I brought the garage into the ground,
If you what?
if I put it almost like lowered it
Right.
into the garage, because I'm up on a hill, and I brought it down to 13 feet.
You can't
that
have a
whole thing.
basement.
What's that?
You can't
Not
have
a basement where I drive down into the garage. Like I'm like 6, 7 feet above the ground level.
I guess in
What would they
theory, I
measure
guess
it?
in theory you can do that.
Would they count the garage door side as the height or everything around it?
I don't know, I think
You'd
they would
have
just,
to, you'd have to take that to the.
The
what
building
you-
department?
If you're considering revising the design,
Mm-hmm.
then I would adjourn the application, submit new plans to the zoning officer.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to revise it because it's not gonna happen here.
Unless you want to have a vote, and I think we have an idea of how that vote would go. Or you can withdraw the application and build a conforming
Mm-hmm.
garage.
and that question, you know, you can certainly make an appointment and say conceptually, this is what I'm thinking about,
And they'll help you.
and they'll guide you accordingly. I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, but I don't want to give you bad information either.
I figured I'd get your opinion if you know
No,
about
listen,
this.
it's a great question, but I'd rather you get it from them upstairs.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
well-
answer it.
It was just, I'm just brainstorming because I gotta think of another way to do it.
And they might, and look, they see everything that comes through town for permits, not just what comes for variances, so they may be able to give you another solution.
Okay.
You may build 2.5 cars wide. Excuse me, 2.5 cars wide. So you have your storage on a half a car width. We've seen that. You just got to get a little
Okay,
creative.
I'll work it out. I guess we have to withdraw.
Adjourn. You want to adjourn.
wanna
Withdraw
adjourn.
would mean you'd end the application, you want to
Well,
adjourn the
what
application.
are you doing?
So Jack, what do they have to do to adjourn with no further notice?
We can adjourn this until January 23rd, 2024, with no further notice.
Okay.
Would that work for you, as far as getting new designs and getting it back to me to get on?
I would reach out to the zoning, to the,
What are we doing?
you're going to need to meet, you need to meet, as
Oh,
Mr.
for-
Nardone recommending, you're going to need to meet with the building department and get their guidance on how to proceed, and then revise your plans, and then submit them and go through. So I think what your wife is saying is you might want to adjourn to the February meeting as opposed to the January meeting, so that you have time to get
Just in
everything done.
case I want to come back with something else?
Yes.
If not, I won't be able to.
No, you'd have to provide new notices, which you don't want to, we were trying to spare you
Okay.
that time and effort.
Well, probably from here on, I'll probably do something within the legal height. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Our February hearing is, I have the date here. February 27th, 2024. So your application will be adjourned to February 27th, 2024, and no further notice will be required.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Rutani, can you grab Mr. Beer, please? I could ask you. Okay. Ms. Khan, will you please call the next application?
Block 4205, Lot 3, 13 Spalding Drive, application number 2023-46-V, Mihir Shroff. Applicant seeks approval for the construction of a new single-family residence in violation of the following sections: 170-99C2, front yard setback, 40 feet required, 35.04 feet proposed, 4.96 feet variance requested. 170-99C3, right side yard setback, 10 feet required, 5.33 feet proposed, 4.67 variance requested. 170-87L1D, front side yard, corner yard setback, 35 feet required, 26.97 proposed, 8.03 feet variance requested. 170-87CC4, habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 34.19% proposed, 4.19% variance requested.
Hi, Mr. Schroff.
Hello.
Because they're from,
Who's going to testify, you, sir?
Yes.
Okay, raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please give us your full name for the record.
My full name is Mihir Shroff. Mihir, last name is Shroff, Shroff. Sure. So my name is Mihir Shroff. I reside with my wife and 2 kids in Jersey City right now. We bought this property back in July, and we intend to build a single-family home on it instead. I'm going to go over. Okay. That's okay. I'm going to go over some of the documents that are in the packet. Sorry, I couldn't open it up here. But if you look at the survey that was included in the packet, this lot is a corner lot, which basically requires additional setback requirements, posing difficulty in the construction of the home. And if you look at the existing setbacks on the lot, the way the house is placed right now, the front setback is 35.7 feet. The side is at 5.33 feet, as well as the right side is at 26 feet. What we are requesting is a front yard setback of 35.04 feet, which is a 4.96 feet variance. Side setback which is the same as the existing thing, but a variance is needed for 4.67 feet, and a right side setback, which is 26.97 versus 26, which is a 8 feet variance. And also, since the size of the lot is 9415 square feet versus the minimum requirement of 9375 in an R4, it's like a small lot. It's not a huge lot, and hence we are requesting HFAR variance of 4.19%, which puts us below the 30 to 20 square feet requirements for the R4 zone. Also, I would like to point out that there was a previous variance that was approved on the property in January of 2022. It was memorialized in February of 2022, and it expired in February 2023. So we couldn't use that variance to draw up the new plans, essentially. But comparing the previous variance approved with the one that we are requesting, the front yard variance was approved was 4.53 versus we are requesting 4.96. The side yard was 4.78 versus 4.67, and the right side corner side street was 9.05 versus what we're requesting is 8 feet. And the habitable floor ratio variance is the same, like 4.2 and 4.19. So it's consistent with the way the house is placed, as well as the approved variance. And I can walk you through the plans if needed for the floor plans. But the new construction in the house will have a modern farmhouse look. Will be consistent with the other new constructions on the side street, like the Kimball Avenue, South Ashby Avenue, as well as Spitcane and the Park Avenue Road at the end of it. So that's the request.
Thank you. And obviously, there was some confusion last month
Yes.
about the way your application was handled as far as whether it was a new application or
Yes.
an addition. And we clarified that with within the township. But as you said, these changes are, the variances you're requesting are in line with the variance granted
Yes.
in 2022
Yes.
by this board. Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness? Does anyone in the public have any questions for this witness? Would anybody in the public like to make a statement about this application? Would anyone on the board like to make a statement about this application?
Can I ask him a question?
Yes, of course. Turn me.
Mr. Shaw, is the design of the house the same as the one that was approved in 2022?
It's a similar looking house.
Similar looking.
Yes.
And is there any physical problem with the property that caused you to
It's a
make
corner.
these very minor changes in the setbacks?
Yeah, it's the corner lot, and I think, as I said, what we are proposing is very close to the existing, how the house is and the existing house is placed. It's just because of the corner lot and the side setback requirements, we need these variances.
You never started construction of the house that was approved previously?
The prior owner.
The prior owner?
That variance expired, so we couldn't use it. and we couldn't use, we won't have those plans since it was a different architect and all, yeah.
Thank you.
Would anyone on the board like to make a statement about this application? Would anyone on the board like to make a motion on this application?
I can make a motion.
Thank you. Mr. Bhutani?
I think this will be an upgrade to the neighborhood. It is in line with the previously approved variance. And with that, I put a motion to approve the application.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Khan.
Okay. Mr. Bhutani?
Oh, yeah, yeah, let's just clarify. Mr. Schroff, is there a shed in the backyard? I didn't see it when.
It's there currently, but it'll be removed as a part of.
Okay, so we'd like to have that be a condition of the
Yep.
approval, and obviously you'll comply with the township engineering memorandum.
Yes.
Great, okay, sorry.
That's okay, okay. Mr. Bhutani?
Yes, with that addition of removal of the shed. Thank you.
Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Nardone?
Yes.
Mr. Affronti?
Yes.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Ms. Fass?
Yes,
Motion passes.
Thank you.
thank you.
I seconded.
Okay. Ms. Khan, will you please call the next application?
Block 1407, Lot 4, 5 Dorothy Avenue, application number 2023-47-V, Mihir Gupta. Applicant seeks approval for a deck in violation of the following sections: 170-99C4, rear yard setback, 35 feet required, 22 feet proposed, 13 feet variance requested.
Hello. Hi, good evening. Should I present it?
You need to be sworn in
Oh,
first.
sorry.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Give us your full name and address for the record.
Mihir Gupta, 5 Dorothy Avenue, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039.
Okay, Mr. Gupta, please tell us why you're here today.
Yes, so we moved into Livingston 6 years back. We love the outdoors. We have 2 kids, 13 and 9. We currently, if you see the plans, we have a very small deck right now. It juts out like 2 feet out. It's a walkway to the patio. We've tried using the patio for outdoor space. It's really not been that helpful. It's not useful. And we were hoping to build a deck. We've seen other people have decks in the neighborhood. We've visited, friends with decks, and we think it's really usable having that outdoor space attached to the house. And that's the reason I'm here. We are looking for a variance of 13 feet. From the edge of the house to the backyard fence, it's 42 feet in total, and we are looking to build something which goes out 20 feet. And that's the request.
And what is behind your house?
So it's the on one half of the house of the backyard. It's the neighbor's backyard. So our backyard is against the neighbor's backyard.
Yes.
And then the other half, I think there's a waterworks department. There's some public works department office, and then they have like it's just lots of trees out there on the other half.
Right.
So when the deck gets built, I would say half of the deck would be closed. It'll align with the neighbor's backyard. Half of it would be on the other side.
Right. Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness?
I guess I'll ask a question. I'm just looking at the depth a little bit. I wonder if we can go a little less than 20 feet, or maybe even make it a little wider if you wanted to. It's just sticking pretty far. It's like halfway into the backyard. Just kind of a thought. I don't know what my fellow board members think.
Let me see if I can answer that question, at least as far as the
Sure.
width is concerned. We've tried to build as much as possible width-wise, such that the steps actually go onto the patio. If we build it any wider than that, the steps will be on the patio itself, and we might just have to either shorten that or keep it at 20, but then reduce the depth of it potentially. But, speaking to the builders, they recommended that 20 is maybe the max you want to go, at least from a width perspective.
How deep is your lot?
It's 42 feet right now. I think it's 42 feet if you look at not right now, but I think that's it's an angled lot, so I think it's 41.5 and then 42.5. The average is 42.
Right, so you do have a shallow lot.
It's a shallow lot, yes. It might be worth mentioning, and again, this is maybe not that relevant, but if you look at the pictures, you will also see that the neighbor against whose backyard this is going to be against, they also have a shed there. So a big part of the deck it's going to be against their shed. Their shed is exactly in the corner, right against our backyard.
Does anyone else on the board have any questions for this witness?
Yeah, so the house that's to the side where this deck is going to be, is it like kind of like slanted away from your house or like on an angle? So it kind of looks like that from the picture.
So if I look at which one? So if I look at the survey.
Yeah, well, in your photos, I guess it's like the white house next door to you.
Oh, yes, okay. So they built a new house, actually. That's 7 Dorothy to the right. I think you're looking at the one at the bottom, right? The bottom picture?
Yep.
Okay. That's 7 Dorothy, and I think there is enough setback between the edge of our house and the borderline.
It's kind of like angled away from your house in a way.
It is
like,
angled away,
yeah.
yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Does anyone in the public have any questions on this app?
You're going too fast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't know he was finished.
I'm sorry.
Did you prepare the schematic of the deck?
Microphone.
Sorry.
Did you prepare the schematic of the deck?
No, this was the builder.
It says it's 20 by 20 feet, is that correct?
That's right.
What's the height going to be?
3 feet.
One?
3 feet.
3 feet.
3 feet, okay.
Yes.
And the railing around the fence, what's the height of that?
30, it looks like 38 inches.
Okay.
38.
I think that's.
Yeah, it's on the next
code
page.
requirement.
Right. Yeah.
I would just suggest a condition.
Okay. Right. Okay, are there, before I move on, are there any more questions from the board or Mr. Valerio? No. Does anyone in the public have any questions on this application? Does anyone in the public, would anybody in the public like to make a statement regarding this application? Would anyone on the board like to make a statement about this application?
I'll just make a quick statement. So I think it's a nicely sized deck for the backyard, even though, you're requiring a variance. I can see where the 20-foot by 20-foot is warranted. I just think it'll be a nice addition to the house.
Thank you.
And I would add, you have the hardship of having a shallow lot.
Yes.
Which necessitates the variance.
Yes, absolutely.
Any additional statements? Would anyone on the board like to make a motion about this, regarding this application?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Nardone.
5 Dorothy Avenue. The hardship is you have a shallow lot. I think the deck is reasonably sized for the size of your property, and I make a motion to approve the application
Thank you.
as presented.
With the condition that the applicant will comply with the code requirements.
Of course.
Sorry, with the...
That the applicant, meaning you, will comply with all of the building codes.
Absolutely.
For the height of the deck and
For sure, absolutely.
the railing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Affronti.
Mr. Nardone?
Yes.
Mr. Affronti?
Yes.
Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Buptani?
Yes.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Ms. Fass?
Yes,
Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Before we call the next application, Mr. Brown, have you had a chance to review the revised letter from the township? And do we want to know if he has any questions?
Do you want to proceed tonight, or do you want to carry this so you can consult with, your your fence people, or who else, your surveyor also may want to consult with?
Yeah, I would rather, I'm not sure who the surveyor is, not spoken to a surveyor. In 24 years we've been in the house, so not sure who that person is.
Okay. Okay, so we'll discuss it. We have one more application before yours. I just want to make sure you had an opportunity to review the letter and make sure you wanted to proceed, that's all.
I guess the revised one now, but it's pretty much not completely, pretty much consistent with what we already.
With your understanding. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Ms. Khan, will you please call the next application?
Block 1508, Lot 7, 17 Maplewood Drive, application number 2023-51-V, Ajith Kumar Bodpudi. Applicant seeks approval for a second-story addition in the rear in violation of the following sections: 170-99C3, side yard aggregate, 20.7 feet required, 18.2 feet proposed, 2.5 feet variance requested. 170-87CC4, habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 44.3% proposed, 14.3% variance requested. 170-87BB4, habitable floor area, 3220 square feet allowed, 3672 square feet proposed, 452 square feet variance requested. 170-87E1D4, accessory structure, shed, rear yard setback, 5 feet required, 3.5 feet proposed, existing, 1.5 feet variance requested. Side yard setback, 5 feet required, 4.1 feet proposed, existing, 0.9 feet variance requested.
Hello, Board.
Hello. Mr. Valerio will swear you in.
Where is he?
Right here.
Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony given in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Give us your full name.
Ajit Bodepuri. I'm residing at 17 Maplewood Drive, Livingston.
And the gentleman with you going to testify?
Yeah, I'm the architect for the project.
Okay, raise your right hand, sir. You swear that the testimony given in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, give us your full name and spell that for
name's-
the record.
Yeah, name's Paul Wu, registered architect of the state of New Jersey. And
You finished? I'm sorry.
yeah, I've been going from the board once. So, and also,
You have been, you're a registered
yeah.
architect. How long have you been licensed in the state of New Jersey?
since 2010.
And your licenses are in good standing?
Yes, yes.
And have you testified, can you name a township or two that you've testified before their board?
Yes, Livingston, Milburn, or in Bergen County. Yeah,
Thank you.
where I'm from. Yeah.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections to accepting this? Then we can accept you as an expert witness in the field of architecture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so please proceed.
So I am requesting a relief for the variance because of the hardship that we have of having an undersized lot to begin with. And also, when we bought the property, there was no basement, and it was too expensive to put a basement in. And with the pandemic and everything that happened, we realized the importance of having a basement, and also how things are turning out. We have remote work. Everybody is mostly we're working from home, and both me and my spouse, we work from home. So having a dedicated office space or a separation would help us do the best in our jobs. So we are planning to add an addition in the back. My architect will show you all the plans, what is required, what we are trying to do. It's not obstructing anybody for the view per se, and it's also in line with the setbacks. The two variances that was actually denied was not caused because of this addition. It was an existing layout. The side yard aggregate is existing. We're not touching that. And also the shed is already in place. We are not touching that. So the only two that we're requesting is the HFA and habitable floor area and a habitable floor ratio. And also for the ratio, I would say because of the undersized lot, it could impact because of the undersized lot, it could go down if it was a standard size lot for us. And that's the hardship that we are trying to, ask your relief. And the area, so when I submitted the application, I was not aware that we have a covered-in patio in the back, and that is considered habitable, and it is added into the habitable ratio, which is a shocker to me because it's not air-conditioned, it's hot in summer, it's cold in winter. Nobody can actually habitable there. It's not habitable. So that actually increased our, variance request. And lack of basement and having this considered as a habitable is why I'm in front of you asking for a relief. And we can go in detail with the plans if you would like. And actually, I can also show some pictures, how it looks like. So this is I think you have as well too. This is the front of the house. I don't have digital copies in there. Copies in there. First one, so. There's no digital, yeah.
Oh.
And in the back, if you see the back, so this is the covered-in porch. It is not attached to it is attached, but it's not the same foundation. It's a different cement foundation. And the addition that we are putting is going to go in here. So I can show you. So the addition go in here because if you see the neighbor's property too, it actually it got extended all the way here. So we're going to be in line with the neighbors as well, and complying with the rear yard setback as well. Okay. And this is the other side.
Sorry, let's mark that as Exhibit A1.
A1, okay.
If you want to give it up to us, we'll.
Yeah. And that can be A2. Yes, thank you. Please. Mr. Beard, do you want to ask a question?
Once I figure out what my question is, I'll ask it.
Okay.
So should I ask my architect to continue with, or show
you'd
you the
like to.
plans? Yeah. Thank you.
He's going to continue his presentation.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is the rear shed going to remain, or are you going to remove it?
That's existing. We're not touching that because of this project.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So that is an existing structure. This project is not. We're not touching because of this project.
It's going to remain.
Yes.
All right, you want to address the setbacks on that shed because they're different on your drawings than what was put in the application.
Okay.
Actually, now that I look
No,
at
it looks
it,
the
no, they're
same.
okay, they're right. Now that I
Yeah.
get them closer to my eyes, I can see it better.
Okay, please proceed.
Yeah, I'm the architect for the project, and I start from the site plan. So we are proposing around like 420 square feet addition on the rear, and the kitchen gonna align with the whatever the wall on the side is. We are not going to increase in the width of the building, and also we're gonna in line with the setback requirement at the rear, so it's not gonna encroach further into the rear yard. And that's where the addition is, around 420 square feet again, and that's the existing house at the front. And I think that's a share you had problem with before, but that's an existing non-conforming. We are not touching that. So the goal for this application is to create two study or home office for my client. One office will be for himself, the other office will be for his wife. They both of them are working from home. So the challenge is how to create those two office spaces. And I look at existing layout. I brainstormed a little bit, but I couldn't find enough space at the existing layout to give them two offices and also keep the 4 bedrooms, which they request 4 bedrooms because of the size of his family. We need 4 bedrooms, 2 offices, kitchen, living room, family room. Just impossible to work with existing layout. So that's why we are proposing this 420 square feet to housing all the requirement. That's my client request. So this is a floor plan from the first floor. That's the existing first floor on the right, and left is what we proposed. So what we're doing is we take some of the space from the existing living room and create a home office for that's a home office we create from the existing living room for the husband to use. And we move the living room to the rear. That's where the addition gonna be, at the rear. And the rest of the space as a kitchen, family room, garage, mechanical room, and 1 floor base, we are not touching that. And the second floor, what we did is we maintain the configuration of 4 bedrooms, and also we are not putting another bedrooms. 4 bedrooms and one study for his wife. So this is the existing second floor. This is the master bedroom here, another bedroom here, another bedroom here. 3 bedroom also. Of course, remember original there's a 1 bedroom at the first floor we're taking out. And for the proposed second floor, all the bedroom gonna be on the second floor. All 4 bedroom gonna be on the second floor. Also, we create on this area, we say study, that'll be his wife's home office. And then the rest of the space we are not touching really at the front. Most of the space we are not touching at the second floor, remain as is. Going back to the elevation. Elevation would be, I keep the character of the current house, and we are not introduce new style here, so it's still using the same siding the current house is, same roofing, same style. We're not changing to another new style here. Yeah, so that's pretty basic what we are doing here.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Would anyone on the board like to ask any questions regarding this application?
I don't know. No, I have no questions.
Right now, we're just doing questions.
Yeah, no questions.
Okay, Mr. Beer?
I'm probably more of a statement than a question there, I think, at this point.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Does anyone in the public have any questions? Yes. Please come up to the microphone. Make sure that it's on first. I'm not sure if it is. It's on. Okay, great. So please, please state your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Peng Wang, first name P-E-N-G, Peng, last name Wang,
I can't hear you, so you have to
W-A-N-G.
speak louder.
Sorry. Yeah, my name is Peng Wang. I'm resident and owner of 90 Maplewood, basically the neighbor of 70 Maplewood. So I really just have one question. So because I cannot see the drawing, right? So really your addition is really just two office, right? First floor and second floor, two office. Will you have a window basically look into our patio, our backyard? Second floor and first floor.
You're, excuse me, facing the house, you're to the right or to the left?
I almost to the north, basically.
Right.
Basically, what they plan to add
Right or
addition.
left?
Right.
Right or
No,
left?
we're just clarifying if you're standing on the street facing your houses, you're on the right of their house.
It's facing on the left side. It's facing the street on the left side.
You're on the left.
Yeah, basically
Okay.
17,
Towards the
19.
street is left, facing on the house, right.
Okay.
You're on the side where the work is being done.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm sorry, can you just spell your name for
Yeah,
the,
sure. First name is Peng, P-E-N-G. Last name is Wang, W-A-N-G. Yeah, I got a letter. That's why
Thank you. No,
I
that's
attended the
okay.
meeting.
okay, so his question is if you're planning to put a window in on that side, and, go ahead, please.
Can you turn it so he can see it? Yeah, that would be helpful, I think. Feel free to walk over and see what's going on.
Are you saying put a window on this side? And that's a second floor?
Yeah, this is the second floor. There is an existing window right here. It's existing, so we just, one more here.
Okay, yeah, I got my answer. Yeah.
Thank you. There is one. Does anyone else in the public have any questions on this application? Would anyone in the public like to make a statement about this application? So if you have an opinion you'd like to share, now would be the time. You would need to be sworn in first.
Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony given in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Repeat your name again for the record.
Yeah, my first name is Peng, P-E-N-G. Last name is Wang, W-A-N-G.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, the statement just as, I have in the letter, right? I see there are two variants. One is the floor ratio, the other is the floor area. It's really, I think it's exceed, especially the floor area is like 452, right? As I know, in the neighborhood, even the new house, they cannot exceed 3220. So that's really just my statement. And also, all the neighborhood, there's no basement and so on. I just want to say that. So that's it.
Thank you. Would anyone on the board like to make a statement about this application? Mr. Nardone.
All right, I'm going to start this off. You're asking for habitable floor area and habitable floor ratio. You're asking for both, which it's telling me the house is too big for the lot that you have. Now, I understand all the nuances with the R4 zone. I get it all. I've been here 12 years, and in my 12 years, I've never approved an application asking for both. I'm just going to come right out of the gate and tell you that. And I'm sure, without looking at Ms. Hollis, that they told you that upstairs. I'm positive of it. The house, in my opinion, is too big because you're asking for a double ratio on this lot. And you're going to have to do, in my opinion, and I'm only one vote, in my opinion, you're going to have to do something to cut back the square footage to make one of these go away. And the chances are it's going to be the square footage. However you do it, That's my opinion and my comment on your application.
Do you, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment. So the reason it's big is because the zoning considered the covered porch as habitable. That is making it.
I understand all the nuances. Believe me when I tell you, I get it. We can
That-
have this
that-
conversation all night. I get it.
Right, that is our ordinance, just like if you have a double height foyer, that counts twice, because it's the massing, when we, and I don't know if you understand, or somebody has explained to you the floor area versus the habitable floor ratio variance, but the ratio is focused on the mass of the property, as Mr. Nardone said, compared to the size of your lot.
Yeah, that's where the hardship is, because we are an undersized lot. And if it's a regular lot, I think that wouldn't be a case.
If you're a regular lot, right, if you're at the 9375, right, yeah, 9375,
almost
and you
1,000
build it to 3220, your habitable floor ratio is still going to be over. It's going to be at 38% ballpark. You're still going to violate it by being within the square footage, but at that point, we understand that there's nothing you can do. You're asking to violate two things that like Ms. Voss said, to the mass of the house, the massing of the house.
The township's plan, master plan, and our zoning ordinances are designed to prevent overbuilding on properties. And there are two tests you have to satisfy: the maximum floor area, the maximum square footage, and the habitable floor area ratio. And as Mr. Nardone says, the township and this board rarely, if ever, grants both variances. If we do, it's one or the other, because again, we understand your property might be uniquely situated, or there's a particular hardship that prevents you from satisfying both tests. But it's extremely rare that we will approve an application that has the habitable floor area variance and the habitable floor ratio variance. Now, as I mentioned at the outset in my opening, you need five affirmative votes to approve the ratio piece of this. So Mr. Nardone has given his opinion. There are 6 members of the board here, and obviously you should have an opportunity to hear from other members of the board. I know, Mr. Here, you wanted to make a statement?
Sure. I kind of lean the same way Mr. Nardone is. You know, if you take off the sunroom, which is, while it might be a separate foundation, it's pretty integral with the house, you're still over on both. So that gives us further difficulties in, you know, moving this along. The sunroom is really, you know, it's really part of the house. I understand the difference and everything else, but people put in windows, they make it full-time. It's 9 months, it's a 9-month room, it could be a 12-month room. It just, you're getting us from both sides. I think it's what Mr. Nardone and Madam Chair has indicated. I'm kind of in that same camp, too. So I understand the hardships and everything. We want to have big, nice houses, but, you know, it's the next house, the next house.
If you take the sunroom off, I think the exception is only for like 120 square foot.
But you're still over on both. That's the problem. We you know, we could look, you look at one, you're good here, okay, that one's over, the size of the lot. But now when you're over both, you're over both. It's just either you're over or you're not.
Are you offering to remove the covered patio? I know you said if you removed it, you'd still need 120 square foot.
I couldn't find anywhere a correct definition of what is habitable in the whole code. So when I embarked on this journey, I was blindsided because there's no proper definition of habitable.
Yeah.
And what I searched online was, if it's air conditioned tied to the main house area, yes, it is habitable. In this case, it's not. So I took a chance.
I'm sure you had these conversations upstairs. Did
Yeah,
you have
so
these
I'm
conversations upstairs?
I did.
I'm sure you did. I know you did.
And
I know you
yeah,
did,
I'm
because
taking a
everybody
chance now.
does.
Yeah.
This application doesn't make it here without somebody upstairs
Yes.
having that conversation
Catherine
with
was
the
so
applicant.
nice to explain.
So you knew what you were kind of, you kind of knew what you were walking into.
Well,
A little bit.
I don't know the outcome, but I just had to try.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and we understand, and sometimes it's helpful to come before the board and get opinions to know what we will be willing to approve. And again, you've heard from Mr. Nardone, you've heard from Mr. Beer. I expressed my concern about the two, those two variances. Obviously, from my perspective, the side yard aggregate is pre-existing, non-conforming. That's not an issue. The shed, again, pre-existing, non-conforming. I'm not concerned. It looks like your neighbor also has a shed on that side close to it. I'm not concerned particularly about the shed, but I am concerned about the additional square footage, both, as it relates to the maximum, the square footage and the ratio. Mr. Butani, Mr. Affronti, Ms. Khan, does anybody have anything they'd like to share?
I'm just going to jump back in. I have it right here. Habitable floor area is the sum of the gross horizontal area of all stories and half stories of a building as measured from the exterior face of exterior building walls or from the center of a wall separating two buildings. There's some exceptions for attics and stuff. The habitable floor area of the principal building and that of any accessory structure or structures shall be aggregated when determining habitable floor area.
And that's in section
That's-
170
Dash 3.
Right.
Yeah, just I agree. It seems too dense and imposing on the neighboring property, so.
So it appears if this goes to a vote that you're not going to have 5 affirmative votes. So you can adjourn this application and come back with a revised plan. We can have a vote. But again, as Mr. Valera has explained to prior applicants, if this vote is not in your favor, you can't just slightly modify the plans. They need to be substantially different. There's a legal test. So if you want to move forward, I would suggest that you adjourn this application and come back with a revised plan.
So what can I change, or what can I work with you to?
So what I think, what I've heard and what I've said what I'm hearing from the board is that you need to do your best to eliminate one of those two principal variance requests, either the habitable floor, the maximum square footage, the habitable floor area, or the habitable floor area ratio. It's the two together that, as I said, those are the two tests for whether a house is too dense for the property. And your proposed plan violates both of those limitations.
Could I say something here?
Of course, please.
Yeah. So based on my understanding, talk to the zoning officer. If the porch is open porch, then it's not gonna count as a floor area. And now because it's enclosed, that's why it's part of the. That's why we counted.
Right.
So the porch itself is almost what 350 square feet.
270 or something.
270. So take out the 270. So I think if I do another brainstorm, probably can take out a couple square feet out of the addition area. I need to talk to my client over there to see how to reduce the the area.
Right. I would recommend that. So would you like to adjourn this application?
Yes.
Okay, so our next meeting is January 23rd.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be a good adjournment date, understanding that this would have to go back to zoning for a re-review. It would have to come back to me for a re-review. So I would suggest the February 27th date.
Yes, I think that
Would that work for you?
That would be better.
Awesome.
You gotta go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the holidays and everything else, it might be difficult. So would you like to be adjourned to
February, yes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hollis, would you say February 24th?
27th.
27th, I'm sorry, February 27th. So this application will be adjourned to February 27th, 2024, with no further notice required.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we'll take a 5-minute recess.
I was just going to, I was just going to say that.
Okay.
We need 5 minutes, please. Thanks. They did that special for your last meeting. Made it cold. Okay, we're going to go back on the record, please. Okay, Ms. Khan, will you please call the next application?
Block 1101, Lot 22, 201 North Livingston Avenue, application number 2023-52V, Rodney Brown. Applicant seeks approval for a 5-foot chain link fence in violation of the following sections: 170-91B2B and 3C front side yard corner lot yard fence, 4 feet allowed, 5 feet proposed, 1 foot variance requested.
Yeah, there's an updated violation letter.
Sorry. What am I reading?
I was listening to what you said, but did you?
Side yard fence, am I reading this whole thing, a side yard that faces? No, I'm not reading that.
So the new variances that were pointed out were the fence facing a street on any public right-of-way taller than 48 inches at its highest point must have a setback of 3 feet from a public sidewalk or pedestrian easement or roadway right-of-way line or 10 feet from the street. The other new one is any non-conforming fence or retaining wall lawfully in existence on the effective date of the adoption of the existing resolution may be repaired, but if they're replaced, must conform with the current applicable setback requirements.
Okay, so, good evening.
Good evening.
Will both of you be testifying this evening?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Mr. Valerio will swear you
Sure.
both in.
Both raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, each separately, of course, give your full name and address.
Rodney Brown, 201 North Livingston Avenue, Livingston, New Jersey.
Simone Anthony Brown, 201 North Livingston Avenue, Livingston, New Jersey.
Okay, thank you. Why don't you tell us why you're here today?
So, we started renovations on our house probably in November of 2022. And at some point in time, I think before that, our neighbor's tree fell onto our fence. So actually, there were 2 trees that fell onto our fence, separate incidents. At some point, I believe in the following year, as the renovations were progressing, we said, well, you know what, we have to replace it. It looks horrible. It's sagging. It's falling. And so we decided that we would just replace it. Again, it was already pre-existing, so we replaced one for one. Only difference being is that the one that was there was green, and our new one was black. And at some point, after the renovations were done, we get an orange door tag on our door stating that there was a problem with our fence. We were not aware because, again, we just replaced what was there.
Right, so if I mean, we've been living at the property since 2000, May of 2000. When we moved in, there was an existing fence that was a chain link fence that was 5 feet tall. And as my husband mentioned, on 2 separate occasions, limbs from our neighbor's tree fell onto the fence and damaged it. The last time being March of 2023. And it substantially compromised the fence in a manner that our puppy could get out, other animals could get in. So we knew that we needed to do something. And since we were doing some other things, we thought we'd get this done. Had no idea that we needed a permit to do so. We don't live in an HOA area, so we didn't think that we needed to inquire about the permit. So our most logical thing was to replace it exactly for what it was.
Right.
So that is exactly what we did. And as my husband mentioned, we only knew that we did something wrong because we received this door tag. So once we received that, we went down to Town Hall and spoke with Marty, who gave us some information in terms of what we could do about some sort of a compromise. And the compromise that he thought would be to go ahead, fill out, kind of do things in the backwards order, which was to apply for the variance. We applied for the variance, which we knew would be denied. He said so. And so.
You applied for the permit.
Applied for the
permit,
permit, right, that we would
Just
be
to,
denied.
not to
Right,
interrupt,
right, I
just
know
to
what you mean.
clarify.
Right.
Yeah. So we did that in June, and from that point, we still, through multiple emails with Marty, trying to come to a resolution.
And Catherine.
And, right, before getting to the point of a variance. And it really came down to maybe we need to just go forward with the variance. So we did apply for the variance, which is the impetus for this meeting today. So we were given 5 minutes before this meeting additional denials on that variance. So we're here today because we're based on the initial. So that is kind of what we're thinking we're doing at this point, which is to ask for the additional variance on the number of feet for the fence. It is to note is that I understand that we're in a right-of-way of the township, et cetera, et cetera. There are 2 openings to our fence, one in the front yard and one on the side of West McKellen, which is a 5-foot opening that is clearly big enough for any sort of vehicle that needs to come in. If there's a repair of anything of that nature, it is unlocked, it is accessible if need be. So we are initially asking, because the fence has now been up for 9 months, it's a part of our property. If we had done nothing at all, there still would be a 5-foot chain link fence, however, just in a horrible condition. So we're here today to ask for variance for the foot, as well as I assume now these new denials.
I have a quick question. Shit, just lost my mind. I was going to ask you a question, and I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
It'll come back.
I will. It was right there. I was waiting for her to stop. So
Yeah. So we don't see where this would be some sort of way that impedes the township in any way. We did replace it for something that's new, bright and shiny. So we just want to continue on to allow our puppy to roam through the backyard and have this fence installed as it is, and not absorb any other financial hardships in terms of having to replace it.
I have a question. Did you install the fence, or did you,
No.
to replace it, you had a company?
Yeah, we had, the company is Essex Fence, who I recall him saying that I've done so many fences in this town. This is a no-brainer. And we were like, great, we need to do this right away because this is a huge opening.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question up here? Because I only have the original denial letter, so I'm just a little confused as to like what we're only reviewing one variance?
No, we would, if approved, we would try and address we would
Okay.
want to address everything so that they wouldn't need to come back.
Okay.
I know my question was, Jack, the letter that they got prior to, do we have that in our packages?
We have the original letter.
We have the original that they didn't receive.
No, they
No, we
received,
got the
what
original.
happened was, they got the same letter we received. Then Richard noticed that Mr. Valerio noticed that the fence encroached on the right-of-way
Okay.
and
Well,
the
that was-
sidewalk.
no, That was.
That was on the original
Yeah, it was
denial
on the
letter.
When I tried to gauge the distance, there was no markings on the survey showing the setbacks. So that's why I questioned the zoning officer about it. And I guess with that information, they took another look and issued a new letter.
I just have a quick question. The fence company, did he say anything to you when he put the fence in that he has to get a permit? Because most installers know they have to get a permit before they put the
Not
fence
at
up, and they do it
all,
for you.
not at all.
No, and
You said
we've
he's done so
asked.
many.
Yeah,
We had no idea. At the time, we were doing other things, so we
Right.
knew to get permits for those things, had no idea about the fence, and if we had, we certainly would have.
Yeah, see, and obviously we'll have, if anybody on the board wants to ask questions. The difficulty here is that the town, I feel like we've hit all the strict points tonight in this meeting. But the town has a very strict fence ordinance, as you've seen from the conversations you've had with the zoning department. Your original fence predated the fence ordinance. I believe the fence ordinance, I was trying to look it up quickly, I think is from 2006. And so your original fence was grandfathered in as being pre-existing. But the intention of the ordinance was to replace, as those fences were replaced, that they would then comply with the ordinance. And so, you know, because of the location of, because of the location of the property and it being on, you're on a corner lot, you're supposed to comply with the front yard fence requirements, which do not allow the chain link
So,
or the height.
so you're a corner lot. The chain link goes down West McCollum, along the back, along the side. So really, it's West McCollum that we're talking about.
Right.
That's what it's really violating. You have the unfortunate situation of being visible to everybody, which is, I'm surprised they even caught this, to be honest with you. And they know how I feel about fences. So it's a miracle that they even saw this. But you have a chain link fence, not bad on board. You're 50% open.
As does our neighbor directly across from us and a neighbor down on Fulton.
And technically, it's a front yard.
Correct.
And I get that, it's a corner lot.
Yes.
And I get, and I'm the biggest fence guru here, as everybody on this board knows. I appreciate the fact that you took responsibility and replaced the fence with new, so we didn't have to look at a dilapidated fence. And I'm speaking, I can only speak for myself. I'd almost be okay if we came up with an arrangement to approve the fence with the condition that you did plantings along that line to shield it. I'm only one vote.
Okay.
And everybody here knows how I feel about fences. I'm probably the hardest person on the board when it comes to fences. But I understand the unique position that you're in, your location. The fact that they found it amazes me. But you're a corner lot. It's not on the dominant street. It's on the side street, if you would. And you did the right thing because you thought you were doing the right thing. A little bit to be desired about the fence installer, but that's a separate issue. That's not your issue. I mean, technically, you should have known better, but to find a compromise, that's what I would be okay with. But again, I'm one vote.
And I would be happy to do that.
and that's when Marty
I see it on the plans. I don't know if you wrote it or he wrote it, and I didn't ask. I purposely didn't ask who wrote it.
Right.
Only because I'm looking at the situation and what's gone on, and I heard your story, and I get it. But something has to be done, obviously. And if the rest of the board doesn't agree with me, then the alternative is you take it down and you're going to have to do something else. But I'm one person, I'm telling you my comments.
I think, Mr. Nardone, I think the issue, though, is that it's in the right-of-way and on the sidewalk.
Can't, I see
think
that,
we
I saw
have
that in the letter.
pictures.
I read that in the letter.
We also included some pictures as well.
Yes.
We're not obstructing anything. I mean, there's clearly enough room for people to walk.
It's not on the sidewalk. It's in the right of way. Richard? It's hard to see on the, it's hard to see on the survey.
We don't know where the right-of-way line is actually, because, again, the survey doesn't have any dimensions with respect to the fence and the sidewalk. And had they been on there, it might have been easier to, to address those questions.
It says in the letter, when I read the letter, let's see.
Nardone, you could actually reference the engineer's memo dated November 6th.
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, if it is within the right-of-way, then frankly, I'm not sure we can approve a fence, you know, that's in that area. That's something that, you know, we'd have to consult with Marty about.
Right, the original denial letter says that the fence is installed 2.4 feet in the township right-of-way.
Do we know which section that is, like on the plan? So,
Where does it say 2.4 feet? Because I'm
It
not,
says it right above the driveway.
And I was reading from the denial letter,
I don't
The
have.
survey says.
the 6/28/2023 denial letter.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I was reading Rocco's memo.
so it's like going over the right side of the property line a little bit, that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along West McClellan. If you look above where it says paved drive, there's a 2.4 feet plus or minus.
As you see, we want
I
to try and
think-
find a way to work with you, and I do think you should go back to your, regardless of what happens, you should go back to your fence company to seek some sort of recourse because of the time and effort and expense of even getting to this point, let alone whatever comes out of this.
And this is the original survey, right? It looks like? So it looks like the fence was existing in the original.
Right.
When they bought the house.
Yes, in 2000, the fence was already there.
And he should have mentioned the permit.
Right.
The first thing he should have said to you is, don't worry, I'll get the permit for you. You can pay me for it. Like, that's one of the first things they
That's what he
should.
does for a living.
do we know if the original fence also went in the right of way?
What?
Did the original fence also go in the right of way?
I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like it from the original survey.
Yeah. Was that something that maybe the town would have like signed off on or like entered some kind of
Well, the town would
agreement?
have
Or
submit a survey, and they would have picked up on it right away.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are supposed to know, but you hired a professional. You know, he really should know. Yeah.
Mr. Brown, on one of the surveys you submitted, handwritten notes, do you know who put those on?
From Marty, he wrote
Okay.
on our.
It wasn't the contractor?
No,
No.
no.
So let me just confirm, so the front of the house has the same fence, right?
Yes.
You
The
have a
front of the
5-foot
truck.
chain link along Livingston Avenue, and then goes down,
West McKellen.
right, and then it's, at some point, it looks like it jumps over a few feet.
So it is,
After the driveway, it,
after the driver goes down West McKellen, then it comes around, which is our neighbors, and then it comes around again. So it covers our
Yeah.
entire.
on either side of the driveway, is it aligned? It looks like that down West McClellan from the driveway, that's where it's in violation. Or is it in violation all along?
I think,
I'm trying to isolate things here.
yeah, I think they're saying it's just down West McKellen.
Because I don't see it on the other, I don't see it on the east side of the drive, that it's off by 2.4 feet.
I think the way,
It's not on the other side of the driveway. It's literally,
Oh, it comes off the house?
right, so.
Oh, I got you, that's what
Yeah.
I was, okay.
so I'm looking
Yeah,
at the
I'm sorry.
survey a little bit closer, Ed, and if
Yeah,
you
I
look at the
see.
survey a little bit closer, it actually has 2.4.
Right,
Which I didn't see earlier.
in two spots, actually.
Yes. So,
Okay, so it sounds like, so there's a clear problem that we can't approve a fence that's in the right of way, and the issue is we're not sure, it's not clear on the survey where the right of way is. And again, we want to try and help you, but I think you have to get a new survey so that we can see where the right of way is.
so I think here's the issue. I'm just going to speak if I can to help. I'm trying to help you here. You're going to get a new survey, and chances are it's going to show you that the fence is, if you put the fence exactly where it was, the new survey is going to show you that the fence is in the right of way. And all you've done is spend X amount of dollars telling you what you pretty much already know. Okay? to Mrs. Foss's point, at some point, you guys are probably going to have to go back. I'm trying to help. You're probably going to have to go back to the fence guy and get him to move that inside of the line. Pull the permits, move it inside of the property line. You'll probably at that point need some kind of survey to make sure that, one, it's inside the property line, and two, when he's done, excuse me, you want to be able to show that it's done. But then you have the problem of 5 foot. So then you have to come before the board.
And the chain link.
Right, you got to come before the board, and then you got to address that. So then the question becomes, do you take the shot of coming back before the board and getting approved with some plantings like I was willing to do? Or if you're going to redo it, do you just do it right up front and comply with the ordinance so you don't even have to come back and see us? You have some decisions to make there. None of them are easy. All of them cost cash, unless you can somehow get the fence guy to work with you. I believe he should be on the hook for some of this, but that's your battle with him. That's not our battle with him.
And you probably need to do some research to see what's, to Mr. Nardone's point, first of all, what your personal taste preference is, but also what's less expensive. Is it putting in the plantings if we approve the chain link fence, or installing a 50% open non-chain link fence?
The right-of-way is really difficult for us to get past.
Well, it's not
Obviously.
even about, it's not even,
Yeah.
we can't, it's
We
not,
can't
a-
get
it's
past it, that's
nothing we can do. But, and I don't know, Mr. Nardone, I don't know if you know, is it possible that they can just move the fence back as opposed to ripping it out and?
No, because I'm sure they put it in with some
they
kind of
put it in
cement at some
concrete.
place.
Yeah.
At least midway point.
That's what
I'm
I
sure the
think.
two corners are anchored down.
Yeah.
At the very least, the corners are anchored down. He's going to have to cut it back, and that's where you have the business decision to make. Do you reinstall what you have and hope that the board approves and come back? Or you just say, I don't want to see this board again. I just want to comply and be done with this and move on with my life. That's a decision that you have to make. You can say, I'm willing to work with you, but I'm one vote.
Yeah, I mean, it's just uprooting everything. It's like, where now does our puppy go?
No, we know,
So-
and
Well,
again,
listen, the
I
fence
think.
stays where it is until
Right.
you have to solve the issue, right? So at a point in time, you're going to have to do something with the fence. That's probably going to take a day. So for a day, you're going to be inconvenienced with the dog, right? So for a day, you may have to walk the dog or whatever while the fence is being moved. In the interim, I wouldn't take the fence down now.
Right.
So you can still enjoy the backyard, right? I'm trying to be fair to you, but you still have to address the overall issue, which is the non-compliance. So I wouldn't put yourself in a hardship, except for that one day when you're actually doing the work.
Mr. Nardone and the board, just so you know, the Browns do have an issue, because I believe they have a violation. You are in court, or may not be, but I know Marty has a ticket or something that was written for this, or a stop work order.
We don't
Or-
have a stop work order. We're
You
not
got
doing
a
any
note,
work.
you got a note on your door?
That was what initiated us to
This-
come
this whole
down about the
process.
filing the permit.
Correct. I'm just going by what Mr. Chair Lanzio shared with me, and I'm putting that on the record, that you'd have to somehow address this, and he was hoping that this would be addressed tonight. And so, if the board is willing to adjourn it to a later date, I'll communicate that to the construction official.
I'm
So
sorry, I don't
what I
understand.
think Ms. Hollis is saying is, you can't let this linger you can't put it off a year and then decide what you're going to do about the fence. We can adjourn this application to, if you decide that you want to move the fence back and then come back to us for approval on the fence and most likely install plantings, that we can push to, let's say, the February meeting, and you would have that time to do that. Or you can withdraw the application and move the fence and make it comply with the ordinance and go through the, you go through the permit process. Right, they'd have to put in a conforming fence. Because you received the door tag, it can't just linger. And you're here obviously working to address the issue. So I think that's.
Well, is there an assumption that we would let it linger, I guess is why. my
No,
question-
it's just, no, just because it was done without the permit, there's this situation arose because it was done without a permit. And obviously, as you've put on the record, that was not through any
Yeah,
fault of your own. It's
Yeah.
just this situation that you find yourselves in, unfortunately. And so the violation notice is, that's how this situation arose.
Yeah, I'm just curious also is, because again, it was, I don't know, months after it was completed. And
So
again,
what put us on the
yeah,
radar,
so, and
basically.
again, we've been in the house for 24 years.
Right.
Never had an issue with anything. And months and months later, after everything is done, we get a door tag.
Right, I mean,
Somebody
yes.
drove by.
So again,
Somebody drove by.
and saw a brand,
Or
and
check- or
saw,
checking
and
off
saw,
something.
and
Or
saw,
something.
and saw a brand new fence. I mean, because again, your fence predated the ordinance and was permitted, if nothing had happened to the fence, and obviously, thank God, nobody was hurt when that tree fell, because like, the pictures look
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
If the prior fence was still in place, you wouldn't
Or if
have
we
gotten a
painted it.
violation.
Yeah. Right.
No, it's not, no, it's the height and the fact that it's chain, if it's the fact that it's a 5-foot high fence and it's
Right.
chain link. So as soon as it needed to be replaced, that necessitated the permit.
Just so that I'm clear, you said if we move the fence back, so just so that I'm understanding, if we move it towards the left, closer into
Yes.
the property?
Correct.
And then also include plantings, or that in itself would be enough?
If you stay at 5 foot, you're still not going to be in compliance,
Okay,
okay? So that means you'd still find yourself in front of this board, and this board would have to either say, yes, we will accept it, we will approve this, if you put plantings.
That's a common approach.
If they say no, you may have to take it out again and comply. Or you may say, you know what, I don't want to see this board and I don't want to roll the dice. As long as I got to take the fence out, I want to put in a conforming fence, which is 4 foot high, and put in a conforming fence.
Let me just change that. Don't put the new fence in until you come to us.
right.
Have your plan. I think you said put it in.
So that's why.
You don't have to take it out again.
And that's why Ms. Hollis was saying, if we adjourn it to February, that gives you enough time to talk to your fence company, to do the research and figure out what you want to do. You can leave the existing fence because there's no issue with the door tag because you have an application pending before us. And then you come back in February, let's say, ideally, your variance application is approved, or you've decided to build a conforming fence, and then either way, you can move forward and make whatever change.
But even a conforming fence, if it was a wrought iron fence, it still would have to be moved in with the
Yes,
inside.
yes.
Yes.
At 2.4 feet, you want to move it, 2.5 feet or so, you
You
got
want
to
to give yourself a couple inches.
Yeah, a little wiggle room, but I think what Ms. Foss is saying, that you have the door tag, by going to February, that holds the door tag.
Or March,
Whatever it's like, there's no worries, we don't want you to worry about anything.
I mean, once there's snow on the ground, it might be hard to get somebody to
Right,
assess
right,
moving it, so, we just need, but we can't, you don't want to leave here without it's scheduled for some meeting.
A date
So she can tell the
certain.
zoning
And is
law.
the survey then also required if we move in, or
We
is
would
it?
need to see the zoning department, and we would want to see the survey so that we can make sure you're out of the right-of-way.
Okay.
And Ms. Fass, I'll go even a step further, because once the board adjourns it to a date certain, I would ask the board to maybe push it out to the spring. It would give you sufficient time to do, get through March, yeah.
Yeah,
March or April, Jack.
yeah, there's no urgency, it's just continued progress.
Okay.
And how would we go about scheduling a survey?
You basically,
Just
you
call it any
look up a
survey.
surveyor.
They
Oh,
come,
any survey.
and they
Here's what I
come,
would do.
and they come in within days.
Here's what I would do. You'll have a copy of the survey in front of you.
Correct.
If you give them your existing survey, that will probably save some of
Yes.
the groundwork and be a little less
And
expensive.
money.
Call them. If the surveyor's out of business, the way that industry works is somebody probably bought the records. So that phone number is going to lead you to someplace, wherever it leads you to, because they have the foundation map. A lot of the work's been done. To Mr. Valerio's point, it probably won't cost you as much as starting from scratch. So start there with the survey and start getting all your ducks in a row. And Ms. Hollis has suggested March, just to give you guys a little bit of lead time, buy you a little bit of time to do all this, because you got a lot of, your big hurdle is going to be the defense company.
Right, but what I would do, yes, I would call the fence company, and I would call Mr. Lanzio, and I would just get the sequence in order, so that way, you know, is it getting the survey and then coming to us, or is it moving the fence back out of the right of way and then getting the survey, just so that you don't have to incur additional expenses?
Okay, okay.
Okay, so should does the end of March sound good?
That's
Is March,
Yeah.
April?
We can do April, we can give you
Let's do
time.
April, because I don't know what the weather and all that.
I always worry about snow in March.
So
So-
the surveyors get through it, but yeah, give yourself plenty of time.
But
So
still,
that date
to
is
move the
April
fence,
23rd,
Right, okay, so April, Jackie,
23rd.
okay, thank you. So we're going to adjourn this to April 23rd, 2024. No further notice is required.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Thank you,
luck.
good luck.
Sorry.
Okay.
Call the fence company.
Definitely.
But the fence company didn't ask for it.
To adjourn?
Sure. Yes,
I make a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn approved. Mazel tov, Tony.